So, homework help, right? So, just so you all know, this video will be up this weekend, and so will the 8.4 lecture, the 8.1 lecture, or sorry, the 8.1 homework, and the 8.2 lecture. Those will all be done this weekend. All right, so if there's anything that we've covered that you're still not sure of, make sure that you go back and check out the videos and see if we can figure out where the mistakes are and where the issues are, okay? What does number 7 say, please? Okay, so when it comes to solving this, the first thing that we're going to want to do is factor everything down so we just have multiplication, right? So factor down the top. Two things that multiply together to get our A. What do you get? X and X. Two numbers that multiply together to get 20, but when you subtract them, you get 1. 5 and 4. Thank you. All right, the sign's going to match or be different? Different because C is negative, and because B is a negative, that means that the bigger value is negative. So it's going to be a -5 and a +4. Do the same thing on the bottom, right? One multiplies together to get x squared. X and X. Two numbers that multiply together to get 15, but when you subtract them, you get 2. 5 and 3. Are the signs going to match or be different? Different, and the bigger one is positive because it has to match with the B, right? So, do I have anything that matches from top to bottom? Do I have anything that can cancel out? No. So this is simplified. And you're done. Number 29. Somebody read that problem for me, please. X plus 5. Minus 13x. Okay. Wow, there's a lot going on here. Whew. All right. So every time we look at these, we're going to move across the numerators first and then across the denominators. And the whole idea is just simplify as you go. So our first numerator here is x plus 5, right? Is there anything I can do to make x plus 5 smaller? No, it's just x plus 5, right? So I'm going to throw it into parentheses. 2x squared minus 32. Is there anything I can do to make that smaller? Is there anything I can factor out at all? Well, I have 1x here, or 2x's here, but I don't have any here, right? What about 2? Can I pull a 2 out of that? Yeah, so I'm going to factor out a 2. That leaves me with x minus 16, right? Or sorry, x squared minus 16. All right, so now on the bottom, 4x minus 16. Anything I can do to simplify there? What can I factor out? Huh? 4? Okay. So that's going to leave me with x minus 4. X squared minus 25. That can be factored into x plus 5 and x minus 5, right? Okay, now I want to go back through. There's something that should look weird to you guys. Is there anything up here that looks funny? I have an x squared just floating around, right? So I factored once, but now I have to check and see if I can still factor any further. X squared minus 16. Can that be factored? If it can, we need two numbers that multiply together to get 16, but when you subtract, you get 0. Can you think of two numbers that multiply together to get 16, but subtract to get 0? 4 and 4, right? So we know it can get smaller. So let me factor that out real quick. X plus 4. X minus 4, all over. 4, x minus 4, x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so now everything is broken down as far as we can get it, right? X plus 5 cannot get any smaller at all. 2 is as small as we can get it. X plus 4 is small as we can go. Is everybody good with that? And if you notice, everything's connected with multiplication with the parentheses. This is what we want to have. Before we try to simplify, you want everything broken down as far as you can get it and written with parentheses. X plus 5 can go. X minus 4 can go. Anything else? What's 2 divided by 4? Not 2. 2 is what's in common, right? So what's 2 divided by 2? 1, right? And what's 4 divided by 2? 2. So it's not 2, but 1/2. Okay, everybody good with that? Yes, no, maybe? So because the 4 is bigger, the bigger number after you do the division has to stay on the bottom. All right, so now what is remaining on top? 1 times x plus 4, which is x plus 4. 2 over 4 is that they can both be divided by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is our 1, and 4 divided by 2 is our 2. Yeah, you can do it at this step, but you always want to simplify things down as far as you can. So if you have whole numbers outside, you're going to want to eventually simplify those if you can. All right. So we get x plus 4 on top, and then we have 2 times x minus 5 on the bottom, which you can multiply out to 2x minus 10, but you don't have to. So if you don't factor until the end, you'll get 2 times x plus 4 all over 4 times x minus 5, like that. Right? And when you see whole numbers out front, you want to simplify those down. So because 2 over 4 does get smaller, we'll do that. And get 1 times x plus 4 all over 2 times x minus 5, which is the same as there. Okay, so the order doesn't matter too much. What does matter is that you take things down as far as you can possibly get them every time you do these. Number 37. Can somebody read that one for me? X minus 4? Yeah. All right, so how do we divide fractions? Right, and what does the operator become? Multiplication, right? So we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator. So we get 8x squared over x plus 4 times 2 times x minus 4 all over x. So is there a whole lot to do here? So far I'm not seeing a whole lot, okay? 8x squared, is there anything I can do to really make that smaller? No. So what's 8 times 2 though? 16. So I can make it a little bit smaller by combining those two terms, right? But I cannot touch what's inside the parentheses unless I can make it smaller. I cannot make x minus 4 smaller, right? I could only make it bigger, so I'm going to just keep it the way it is. Okay, x plus 4. Can I do anything to make that smaller? Nope. And then I have an x. So now what I'm looking for is anything that matches top to bottom that's connected with multiplication that can make things go away from top to bottom. Do you have anything? There's actually one thing. This is times x squared, right? So it's like the 16's in its own set of parentheses. X squared's in its set. Do we have anything, any bases that match from top to bottom? Yeah, we have x squared here and an x here. So this x takes out one of those x's. But that's the only thing we can do. So your final answer will be 16x times x minus 4 all over x plus 4. And of course, there's a lot of variations on how you can write that with parentheses, okay? As long as you have this, that's fine. If you want to, you can throw everything in its own set. Because that's really what I'm doing here, right? I'm looking for repeated bases. So if you notice when I throw things in parentheses, right, it's kind of like this is to the first power, this is to the first power, this was to the second power, right? This is to the first, and this is to the first. So what I'm looking for is repeated bases, because I know that if I have a repeated base, or a base over a base, I can just subtract the powers. And that's really what I'm doing. That's why things have to match identically. Right, but x squared is x times x. So it can. Okay, so I'm really just, remember the power rules from last year? Right, like x cubed over x squared is x, right? All that stuff. That's really what we're playing with here. Okay, it's just that our bases are going to be like factors. They're going to be like, 3x minus 2s and stuff like that. That's why they have to match perfectly, though, so that way the bases will cancel. And because everything's going to be to the first power, they go away. What does number 38 say? X squared. Oh, just x squared? Okay. So again, we've got division, right? So the first step, how do we get rid of division? Turn it into multiplication and flip that second fraction, right? So there's a couple of different ways of doing this. I'm going to show all of the steps, and then I'll show you where you can start kind of skipping around. But again, you got to be careful when you jump around, because you might be making a mistake. Alright, so the very first thing we're going to do is change it into multiplication, and we flip the second fraction, right? Alright, so now we're going to factor down the top. Alright, we're going to factor down the bottom. Can I factor down x squared? Not really, so it's just going to stay as x squared. And then I'm going to factor down the bottom over here. And if you notice, I want to write it as a single fraction. Okay, so I remember you multiply fractions straight across the top, straight across the bottom. Okay? So, x squared minus 6x minus 27 is up first. How do I get x squared? X and x. Okay, I need two numbers that multiply together to get 27, but subtract to get 6. 9 and 3. Signs match or different? Different, and the bigger number is... So my top is factored. Everybody okay with that? And again, how do I know? Can I do anything to make x minus 9 smaller? No. Can I do anything to make x plus 3 smaller? Can I do anything to make x squared smaller? So I'm done. Okay, do the same thing on the bottom. Is there anything that it can factor out of 2x squared plus 2x? Okay, 2x. Yeah, you're set. So if I pull out a 2x, what's remaining on the 2x squared? Or of the 2x squared? Just an x? What about 2x? Well, something, because we're dividing 1. There you go. So two numbers that multiply together to get 45, but add to get 14. 9 and 5, right? So the signs are going to match, and they're both going to be negatives. So we get an x minus 9 and an x minus 5. Now can anything cancel from top to bottom? Yeah, the x minus 9s, right? And the x's still go, and that's it. So you get x plus 3 times x all over 2 times x plus 1 times x minus 5. There you go. All right. Everybody okay with that?